The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Django Ray stepped onto the crystalline platform, her boots clicking against the ancient floor with an echo that seemed to mock the assembled delegates. 200 species from across known space watched her with varying degrees of curiosity, contempt, and confusion. Some possessed compound eyes that refracted light in impossible ways. Others were translucent beings of pure energy, barely contained within their environmental suits. "This is absurd," Ambassador Zixthor hissed, his serpentine form coiling tighter around his delegation's pillar. "The Council wastes time on fairy tales while real threats loom at our borders." Django kept her expression neutral, though her jaw tightened imperceptibly. She had traveled 3 months through slipspace to reach this moment, surviving 2 assassination attempts and a near-catastrophic hull breach. The metallic case in her hands felt heavier than its actual weight, burdened by the hopes of everyone who believed her story. "The human species," she began, her voice amplified by the chamber's acoustic enhancement, "did not simply vanish. We were erased. Systematically. Deliberately." A ripple of laughter spread through the assembly. The Quelnar delegate produced a sound like grinding metal plates, their equivalent of scoffing. High Chancellor Vexra, a towering crystalline being whose body refracted light into dancing rainbows, raised one geometric appendage for silence. "Miss Ray, we have been patient with your claims." Vexra's voice resonated like 1,000 wind chimes. "But you must understand our skepticism. Our records span 40,000 cycles. Every civilization, every species that has achieved space travel is documented. There is no mention of humans anywhere in galactic history." "That's because someone erased us from your history," Django shot back. "Every database, every archive, every archaeological site that might prove our existence. Sanitized. By whom?" The question came from Representative Coraval, a massive insectoid whose mandibles clicked with barely suppressed amusement. "Who possesses such power? And more importantly, why would anyone bother erasing a species that, by your own admission, never achieved significant galactic presence?" Django's fingers tightened on the case. "That's what I'm here to prove." She opened the container with deliberate slowness. Inside, nestled in preservation foam, lay what appeared to be a simple spherical object about the size of a human fist. Its surface was matte black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it, covered in geometric patterns that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. "This," Django announced, "is a predecessor artifact, found in the ruins on Kepler 442b, buried beneath 3 kilometers of ice. Your own xenoarchaeologist dated it to approximately 60,000 cycles ago." "We are familiar with predecessor technology," Vexra said dismissively. "The ancient ones vanished long before any current species achieved sentience. Their artifacts are scattered across thousands of worlds, all inert, all incomprehensible. What does this prove about your mythical humans?" Django lifted the sphere from its case. The chamber's ambient noise dropped to absolute silence. Even those who had been mocking her leaned forward with sudden interest. "The predecessors didn't vanish," Django said quietly. "They evolved. They became us. Humans are the direct descendants of the species you call the predecessors." The chamber erupted. Voices, chirps, roars, and electronic signals collided in a cacophony of disbelief and outrage. Vexra's form flashed crimson, a sign of anger in their species. "Blasphemy," Zixthor spat. "The predecessors were gods among species. They shaped planets, bent space itself to their will. You claim descent from them while standing before us without even basic genetic modifications." Django smiled grimly. "I claim descent, and I can prove it." She raised the sphere above her head. "Predecessor artifacts don't activate for anyone. Every species has tried for millennia. You've all failed." She paused, meeting the gaze of dozens of species. They were never inert. They were waiting for us. Django pressed the sphere to her forehead. Nothing happened. The laughter returned, louder now, more vicious. Ambassador Zixthor's laughter hissed like escaping steam. "Your desperation is almost—" The sphere blazed to life. Light erupted from the artifact, not the harsh glare of technology, but something older, something that seemed to exist between wavelengths. Holographic projections materialized throughout the chamber, star maps, genetic sequences, mathematical formulas that made the assembled scientists gasp in recognition and terror. But more than that, the sphere sang. It was a sound that bypassed auditory organs entirely, resonating directly in the consciousness of every being present. In that song was a history, The rise of humanity, their golden age among the stars, their wars, their art, their dreams. Thousands of years compressed into moments. And then the betrayal. The systematic extermination. The desperate last stand. The few survivors scattered across space, hidden, waiting. Django's eyes rolled back, her body rigid as information poured through her. The sphere wasn't just reading her DNA. It was reading her memories, her ancestry, the genetic legacy carried in every cell. It recognized her not as an individual but as a continuity, an unbroken line stretching back 60,000 years. When the light faded, Django collapsed to her knees, gasping. The sphere remained active, hovering above her palm, its surface now translucent and pulsing with internal light. The chamber was silent. Vexera's crystalline form had lost all color, becoming perfectly transparent, a state Django's research told her indicated profound shock. Zixthor had uncoiled completely, his body slack against the floor. The Quelnar delegates' grinding sounds had become a high-pitched whine of distress. The genetic markers match. A Quelnar scientist's voice trembled through the translation matrix. The DNA sequence, it's compatible with predecessor fragments we've recovered. 99.7% correlation. Django rose slowly, the sphere orbiting her head like a loyal moon. We existed, she said, her voice hoarse but steady. We built civilizations that spanned galaxies. We created wonders you've spent millennia trying to understand, and someone tried to erase us from existence. She looked directly at Vexera, but they failed. Because we're still here. I'm still here, and now that this relic has recognized me, others will activate. Other humans will emerge from hiding, and we will find out who tried to destroy us. The sphere pulsed once more. And every predecessor artifact in council space, on museum pedestals, in research facilities, in private collections, activated simultaneously. Across 1,000 worlds, ancient technology awakened, each one broadcasting a single message in a language older than any current civilization. The inheritors have returned. Django Rey stood before the Galactic Council, no longer a petitioner seeking recognition, but a representative of humanity reclaiming its place in history. The council that had mocked her now faced an impossible truth. The ghosts they had dismissed were very, very real, and they were far from extinct.